This is a video about how I failed in 2023 despite it being the year when I'd made the most money through my career, as well as experienced the best performance of my career by making it to top 4 of last CSGO major. There are a lot of lessons I learned throughout the year and I want to share them in this video. Not only for you, so you can either avoid them or be at least mindful of them, but also for myself to act as a reminder of what I went through and reflect a bit in case I'm ever in a similar situation again. The first lesson that comes to mind is the importance of believing in a common shared goal. For the start of the year, we have had nothing but one goal in mind: qualify to the last CSGO major. We needed to go through a long journey of qualifiers and then an incredibly stacked RMR tournament. A few times we were very close to being eliminated, but we were prepared. Our first quarter of the year was laying foundation and creating identity that would help us deal with these games. We played a couple of other online tournaments occasionally, but the real purpose of those was to stress test our gameplay, mentality, and correct mistakes that were not that obvious to us in practice. So that meant our results weren't that great, but we understood it's for the greater good, greater goal that is going to be Paris. So our mentality didn't take the hit even if we lost. We're not a very stable team when it comes to mentality, but having a goal that everyone chased, starting from a single player all the way through the coach, staff, and the management of Apeks, it made us somehow resistant to negative thoughts. Thanks to this, we qualified to the major and it was time to set a new goal. The second lesson I learned was at the major. This is more of an individual topic, but I still want to share it. Sadly, this all hit me right after we were eliminated in the semifinals against eventual winner Vitality. I realized there and then that I am actually a good player. I know it sounds weird, but I struggle a lot with being super harsh on myself. The self-criticism is sometimes just too much and it often comes from me. I need to work on this and I know it. And during the major, I was playing well and I was trying to come to a conclusion why I was playing so good all of a sudden. It was a mixture of things, I feel like. The experience I had helped me and I was able to pick up pieces from my teammates who were not their usual selves, I would say, or they were affected by the pressure. And this gave me more opportunities and space on the server, which I wasn't afraid to take, and it was inspiring. I was proud of myself and this all gave me a good confidence boost, which we carried over into an online tournament right after the major, and we did well. Then the summer break happened and a lot of things spiraled out of control. That is when I learned a third lesson. It is connected to the first one, but let's start step by step. So we lost JL as he signed with Navi and we got Sasanito instead. We were pretty hyped, but we lost a good player, but we also signed an incredible aimer to fill his spot. Thanks to our top 4 finish at the major, we jumped in the rankings and suddenly received a lot of invites to the best tournaments in upcoming months. And that is where I feel like we didn't handle it well at all. Since the start of the year, our goal was major, and after that major, we had nothing to look forward to. Second major was not happening as CS2 was supposed to be released, and we didn't really set any goal for the team. Our only goal was to get to the best events, but thanks to the invites, that is exactly what we already had. Our performance at these events was terrible. The drive was gone and I felt like the team became lazy, myself included, and I'm usually a hardworking guy. It's not like we were just AFK, chilling, but we definitely didn't do our best and other teams just zoomed by us. The success that Major gave us, we didn't really know how to handle it, and I felt like Apeks as an org didn't either. This showed me that the environment you're working in is extremely tied to your own work ethics. And I regret to this day I didn't push my team to do more, as I feel like what we have built in the first half of the year collapsed in less than 2 months. I remember my coach Kuban once said something along the lines of, I don't recognize us anymore and I can't identify myself with this team, and I couldn't agree more. Lack of goal, or rather wrong goal setting, made us a team that I feel like no one was really afraid to face. Eventually, after this horrible summer, Kuban was released from the organization and I was benched shortly after. Suddenly, I was left with no team. What I have been doing for the past 8 years professionally is gone. I had no daily practice, no team to compete with, and I had to rethink a lot of things. Honestly, I had a lot of free time all of a sudden. Those of you who know me well, I just can't sit around and wait for something to happen. I have a bunch of side projects in my life I could take on, one being this YouTube channel, for example, to educate you a bit of how it is to be a professional player. What I love doing, competing, was taken away from me and I had to replace it with something that filled me with joy and purpose. I'm so glad that I didn't abandon this YouTube channel during my career, as right now it provided me with meaning. I quickly understood that the videos I'm making are actually helping a lot of young players trying to be better. The thought of me teaching someone a valuable lesson or explaining a topic I learned over time is extremely impactful for me. The competitive hunger inside of me still burns, but thanks to my reflective thinking, I replaced it with hunger to improve day by day in making videos, making better videos, providing valuable content, and making a difference online. This just wouldn't happen had I had no side project or a hobby throughout my career, and I think it gave me this work balance that I desperately needed as a professional player where our lives are very hectic and full of uncertainties. So ad break, one of these side projects is also doing individual coaching, where we sit down and talk through some of your games and try to give you some tips or pointers to improve. If that interests you, feel free to check out my Ko-fi link. This video is not sponsored by Ko-fi or anyone else, but I felt like if you made it this far into the video, you are probably interested in being a better player, and individual coaching I offer will be an exciting way to step up your game. So check the link in the description, but now let's get back into the video. Moving on to another lesson I learned the hard way is embracing the individual practice to improve. When you're without a team or on the bench like myself, your means of practice completely change. Meeting up with the team every morning, discussing a progress, tactics, and theory crafting ways to improve were all things I took for granted. 8 hours of daily team practice was gone and I had to find a new approach. Some of you already know this, but personally, I hate playing bugs such as Face It or FPL. I think you're often placed into a game with people who take match with different seriousness and focus, and it's very common to meet, let's say, trolls or griefers. So I find it a waste of time and I never really did it. I always like the teamwork aspect of the game, and thinking is the best way to become better. I sat down and tried to prepare my individual practice that I will stick to while I'm teamless. I've decided to get into aim trainers, which I played daily for about 30 minutes, and I did a 30-day challenge to see how am I progressing. I made a video about it. If you want to check that out, feel free to do so. Another thing, to keep up with the competitive Counter-Strike, I'm watching a lot of demos of various teams and players. This helps me how current meta evolves, so when I join a new team, I'm not falling behind. After a few reviews, I decided that I would stream some of them for you so we can learn together, and I think those streams are extremely successful from your feedback. I'm trying a lot of workshop maps to understand the mechanics of CS2, as well as spending time on offline server testing various utility, again for the reason to be ready for any competitive opportunity that I get. Sure, I play a couple of Face It games here and there with friends, but this whole experience of individual practice showed me that I need to be open-minded to new ways of practice, and frankly, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job to keep up my game both from tactical and individual perspective. If you pay attention to this video, you can tell that the setbacks I'm sharing are in chronological order throughout the year, how they occurred to me in 2023. With last lesson, it's a bit different, as I was experiencing it during the whole period of my career to some degree, but it only stood out to me now after years of playing competitively. Undervaluing the importance of psychological health. As you know, professional teams often have staff that includes a sports psychologist, but unfortunately, I have been part of many teams and organizations, yet I only had the opportunity to work with one, surprisingly, in Godsend years ago. During 2023, we put pressure onto Apeks to look for a person who would help us with our mental barriers and struggles, because we knew it is our biggest weakness. The mood swings, the atmosphere, the tilt were all major common factors in 90% of the losses this year. We as players, together with the coach, were not able to fix that by ourselves and needed help from qualified professionals. And to bring this point home, I truly think this person would be able to help me and the team in every single lesson that we covered in this video so far. He would help me create a goal, help me believe in myself more on the server, helping us during the slump in the summer, and helping me during the period when I got benched unexpectedly. Now, you're most likely not able to get a sports psychologist, but what you can do is to have a person, a friend, with whom you would share these things. I didn't, and I think I paid the price. I started venting my frustrations to my girlfriend at some point, but it was too late, and it wasn't easy for me as her only connection with esports is me. And your friend don't necessarily need to give you advice what to do, but just being there to listen is enough for you to realize your next steps. As you can see, the journey of this year was a roller coaster, and I hope I could bring you a step closer to see what my thought on all of these are. Every fan see those good moments of being an esports pro, because We all share them on social medias and we talk proudly about them. However, majority of experiences are not that nice and they are difficult to deal with and talk about. That's why we avoid sharing them with public or fans. This video was meant to show you that despite 2023 being a year of huge success and earnings, I'm still rating the year as one of the hardest periods of my mental well-being. I think I did okay, but I hope you'll do even better now that I shared my struggles, because the takeaways can be easily applied to not only esport, but also your personal life or whatever career you're pursuing. If you like the video, let me know by commenting down below and hitting that thumbs up button. Maybe even consider subscribing, that would mean a lot. Check out some of my other videos that you see on the screen and I'll see you there. Bye bye.